Discharge limits. If the pH limits are too high, then the use of batch processing, you want to use holding tanks that would be necessary in order to add water to dilute the wash water to an acceptable pH. This may be allowed in some municipalities. If the pH is too high, you can add like an acid to it to bring it down. If it's too low, you can add a caustic to it to bring it up. Another option, pH levels are too high, is to add acid to neutralize the wastewater. Flocking may also be an option. Flocking is the addition of chemicals that separates and binds pollutants together so they either drop to the bottom or float to the surface. The clean water is then discharged to the sanitary sewer. The flocked pollutants are stored in a drum until environmental waste hauler can pick them up for proper disposal. This is most popular with stationary wash operations. Biodegradable detergent is probably the most abused term in the power wash industry. Use biodegradable, non-toxic, phosphate-free detergents when practical. Biodegradable does not mean non-toxic. It only means it is easily processed at the sanitary sewer plant. It does not mean it can be discharged to the storm drain. Phosphates act like fertilizer, causing the moss and algae to grow in lakes, rivers, and streams, depleting the oxygen level and killing the fish and native vegetation. It's almost a direct quote of EPA Region 6 Director. Drought conditions. Potable water. Depending on the drought restriction in your area, the local potable drinking water may be restricted for power washing except for health and safety reasons. When power washing for health and safety reasons, permission is required in advance from the health or environmental department. That's a general guideline. Gray water. Power washing with gray water, non-potable water, is acceptable. Again, you need permission in advance from your local AHJ, authority having jurisdiction. And also I've had contractors truck in potable water. Again, you need to get a permit from the AHJ, authority having jurisdiction, to make sure that's acceptable. And you'll have to prove to them that you're bringing in clean water. Liability. Discharges to landscaping, sanitary sewer, or storm drain under these guidelines is not a release of liability to the contractor or customer. Cleanup or remediation is required. In other words, just because you follow these steps, if you manage to follow them and you still cause problems in the storm drain or sanitary sewer, they're going to expect you're liable for the cleanup. Local municipalities. Each sanitary sewer district you discharge your wastewater to has jurisdiction over what criteria you must meet to discharge your wastewater to their storm drain or sanitary sewer system. That means if you are in a metropolitan area with dozens of municipalities, you have to comply with each city's set of guidelines. In order to solve this problem, some contractors have chosen to capture all their wastewater and haul it back to the proper disposal site like their own sand trap. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there's approximately 112 individual sanitary sewer districts that the contractors have to deal with, and a lot of them just pick up all their wastewater, take it back to their shop, and discharge it into the sanitary sewer through their own sand traps. Municipalities do not have to follow the EPA's model ordinance. Most communities will modify these BMPs for their local environmental requirements. You're going to get them specific job BMPs, exterior only, to remove dirt and hydrocarbons for fleet washing, with or without soap. Storm drain disposal is not permitted. The wash water must be discharged to landscaping or sanitary sewer. Some unavoidable evaporation will occur on paved surfaces. Remember, every time I mention one of these, always filter and always pre-clean applies. Fleet washing preferred. Use a wash pad to capture the wastewater and discharge it to the sanitary sewer. Ideally, the customer has established a separate wash area that captures the wash water. Or the contract cleaners can use a temporary wash pad and pump the discharge to the sanitary sewer. If the wash area is a paved surface, seal the storm drains and rinse the surface after washing and rinsing each vehicle. That's so when it rains, any contaminants you leave there, when it rains, it won't wash you down into the storm drain. If a significant amount of wash water runoff evaporates at the site before it can be collected, the site is routinely used for this purpose. The paved area must be cleaned. The wash water must be cleaned and discharged to the sanitary sewer. Second best is to direct your wastewater to landscape or dirt area. Wash water should be discharged to landscape or dirt area sufficiently large enough to contain all the wash water. Discuss this with the property owner. Don't discharge so much wash water to landscaping that it's going to run off property. Under the EPA guidelines, the wash water does not become under the jurisdiction of the municipality, other regulating authorities, until it breaks the property line. Now that can be air contamination, most normally it's surface water contamination or groundwater contamination. Again, always filter and always pre-clean. Engine equipment degreasing, auto and truck drivetrain cleaning, engine degreasing and airplane cleaning, including landing gear with or without soap. No storm drain disposal permitted. Requires pre-treatment before discharge to sanitary sewer and should be cleaned on a wash pad where you can capture the wastewater. The second is you can stop up the storm drains and capture it with a sump pump or vacuum. Acid cleaning of unpainted trucks and containers. Trucks and metal containers unpainted using acid cleaners. No storm drain disposal permitted because your acids will pick up heavy metals and stuff. The runoff from the cleaning unpainted trucks or containers with acid cleaners must be neutralized to a pH between 6 and 10 before discharging to the sanitary sewer. Most of the way the contractors do that, if they use acid cleaning or aluminum brightening, they neutralize it with their caustic detergent, which will bring it within those guidelines for their pH. Mobile auto detailing, infrequent light cleaning, using soap rarely at the same site, removing mainly dirt with minimum water volume. Preferred is minimum runoff may remain on the paved surface to evaporate. If the wash water will reach the storm drains, seal your storm drains and discharge the wastewater to the sanitary sewer. Your second choice is direct the wastewater to landscape or dirt area. Wash water should be discharged to a dirt or landscape area sufficiently large enough to contain all the wash water. Again, discuss this with your property manager. As you go through these, you want to notice that the regulating authorities and EPA want you to use the best method for discharging your wastewater to the sanitary sewer rather than to the storm drain, and then through whatever method of conveyance that will remediate or take most of the pollutants out of the wastewater. Car lot rinsing for dust removal. Rinsing dust from exterior surfaces using water only, no soap or solvent. If the vehicles have been previously washed with soap or a solvent following BMPs, then acceptable to rinse the vehicles with just water and allow it to discharge the storm drain. To reduce dust, clean the cars first, then rinse with water only. What normally happens is before cars are put out on a car lot, they'll go through the wash bay at the dealership, so they'll be put out clean. So all the wastewater that you're doing is basically a rinse down for atmospheric dirt. And still, I would filter and pre-clean when you do this. See where the wastewater is running into the sanitary sewer and put down an oil-absorbent boom. That will help remove any hydrocarbons that might have been on the parking lot. And then you can also, any debris will help stop going down into the storm drain. Car lot rinsing for dust removal. Wash water should be discharged to a landscape or an area sufficiently large enough to contain all the wash water. Discuss with the property owner. Prevent contamination of runoff by not allowing it to run through oil deposits on the pavement or gutter. So if you're going to do car lot rinsing, you're going to have to survey the area that you're working in and use oil absorbent clay or kitty litter or some way to absorb your hydrocarbons and dispose of that properly. The model ordinance is affecting Fort Worth, and it's legal here for the contractor to pick up small amounts of that waste and put it into the dumpster. Semi-trailers, non-toxic, food-related, interior cleaning. Sweep or collect and dispose of the debris. Use dry cleaning methods as much as possible. That means pre-cleaning. Food residue must be properly filtered. Filter contents and are disposed of garbage. Don't run your food residue down into the storm drains. Wash water cannot be discharged to the storm drain, but must be discharged to the sanitary sewer. Boat cleaning. Filtered water must be discharged to the sanitary sewer. Do not allow the wash water to enter the lake, river, bay, ocean, and so forth. Dispose of paint chips appropriately. These BMP do not address the disposal of paint. It's going to depend quite a bit on what that particular paint is and how long it's been there. Basically, for cleaning boats, if the boat is taken out of the water up into dry dock and power washed, none of that water can re-enter the water, your lakes, rivers, or streams. The only way that's allowed is if the boat is actually cleaned with scuba gear in the water. In that case, there isn't any way to capture anything. But you can't pull a boat out and clean it and allow that wash water to run back in till you contaminate the water it come out of. Sidewalks and plaza using soap, or hot water. Sweep, collect, and dispose of the debris. Pre-clean. Wash water must go to the sanitary sewer. The BMPs in this section do not apply if there has been an oil or other hazardous spill on the site. In the case of a hazardous spill, contact the local fire department for guidance. In other words, if the sidewalks and plaza just got basically gum and spit and footprints on there, you need to pre-clean and then come back in and power wash it down. In a lot of areas, you can use hot water to help bring up the gum, but you need to collect your wastewater. And a lot of municipalities will give you an exemption to discharge that into the sanitary sewer instead of the storm drain. That's the case of where the model ordinance is enforced in Fort Worth. Sidewalks, plazas, and drive-throughs, window areas with light oil, frequently cleaned, and notice no soap, no chemicals. Sweep and collect and dispose of debris. Pre-clean and always filter. Dry clean oil spots properly and dispose of the debris. Place oil absorbent booms or oil socks around the storm drain. Wastewater may go to the storm drain through an oil absorbent boom and a screen. The oil sheen should be visible on the water flowing into the storm drain. Drive-throughs, driveways, parking garages, service stations with excessive oil deposit not frequently cleaned with or without soap. Pre-clean, sweep and collect and dispose of the debris. Dry clean oil spots with an oil absorbent and dispose of properly. Seal the storm drains and discharge the wastewater to sanitary sewer. If you're picking up large amounts of hydrocarbons, you're not going to be able to get that water clean enough to go into the storm drain. And you'll have to check locally to see if they'll take it into the sanitary sewer. And following the EPA guidelines in the city of Fort Worth, they allow that wastewater as long as it's been through an oil absorbent boom to go into the sanitary sewer.